What up, everybody? It's Nino. On this episode of Nino Reacts, I saw this video or listened to it while I was at work, ladies and gentlemen, because I've been seeing like a rise in these, gurus. And I've checked out this channel before. I think it's called CoffeeZilla, and very informative channel. I love the way he does his videos, and he exposes a lot of these, fake gurus, these multi-level marketing schemes, and stuff of that nature. And I just want to come on here and say that basically, I would say any entrepreneur, a man, ask his wife, what they think about the business. It's very tough to start a business, to stay in business 5 years, to be successful, to make any money. I mean, there's a lot of issues with being an entrepreneur and starting a business. So it's interesting. I came across this video. I'm gonna play, parts of it, not the whole thing. It's pretty long, but it's basically talking about entrepreneurs. I believe there's the new term they give these people that are basically not entrepreneurs. People that think that they're entrepreneurs due to them spending money on courses and whatnot, and doing things to try to start a business, or they explain it better. So we'll get to the clip real quick, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm gonna tell you right now, being a business owner, having my trucking company, this ain't the brag or boast, y'all. This is sleepless nights, working every day. It's very tough on your family, very tough on a lot of aspects of your life. So be very careful, jumping into being a boss, being an entrepreneur, and starting a business. I hope you start a business that's actually beneficial and that actually makes money, and not some kind of scheme. Real quick story. There's someone that follows me on Instagram, the brothers in Cali. He was a teacher, couldn't really do it in that real volatile environment. He basically kind of took some of my advice, and I told him, hey man, trucking, I'm always talking about trucking. I got my CDL, changed my life. He got his CDL with the hazmat. Now he's away from the political bull crap of the school system and the stuff they try to push in California. And now he's, driving a truck, making good money. So to me, that's good advice to give somebody, something where they can be productive and elevate their life and their financial status, without trying to sell them a dream or sell them some kind of weird program or plan. But anyways, I digress, y'all. Check out this video. Sorry for the audio. Their audio is kind of low, but just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. And I think this is gonna be a good video that I'm gonna react to. Check it out. Very informative.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CoffeeZilla. Today we are talking to someone I've been kind of a fan of his work for a long time, but finally I get to sit down and talk with him. This is Dr. Hartman of the Copenhagen Business School. He is an associate professor, and he wrote a paper about the, I'm going to totally mess this up, the Vebleninian entrepreneur, AKA, I just want to say, because I want to call it this during this show, the wantrepreneur sort of thing. And it's towards an unentrepreneurial economy, the entrepreneurship industry, and the rise of the Vebleninian entrepreneur. Can you summarize that idea for us real quick? Because I think it's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction, Stephen, by the way.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the opportunity. So the Vebleninian entrepreneur is or let's call it the wantrepreneur, that's fine too, is our effort to sort of put a label on what I think a lot of people are seeing, right? The fact that there are people starting entrepreneurship, not so much with the intention of actually becoming innovation-driven entrepreneurs, but more actually to just sort of engage in the entrepreneurial lifestyle and to build up the kind of identity that comes with that.
The identity, trying to portray the lifestyle of an entrepreneur. And I like how they do this little interview, y'all, and it kind of gives you a little, it gives you some cold hard truth about being entrepreneur and the statistics. So it's very interesting what this guy has to say, y'all. But basically what I've been seeing a lot of lately, of people that you're like, they're selling something, always selling some kind of program or something to people, and selling a dream, selling a lifestyle, saying be your own boss, and there's really just a bunch of fluff. And I guess this video means a lot to me because it really hit when I came home in my 18-wheeler. I'm trucking. It's hard, every day, worrying about the truck. Something was wrong with my truck. I had a leak on my transmission, and man, my stomach hurt. I was basically, I felt kind of sick. It's like, man, something else I got to deal with. That's just the problems and the issues you deal with having, running trucks every day in the West Texas oil field. But again, that's why this video, hit home, because it talks about, being a real entrepreneur and the ones that are fake entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? So let's check it out.
So basically, it's entrepreneurship pursued for identity purposes, not productive purposes.
You guys have all seen this at
For identity purposes, not productive purposes, right? Basically, what he said, I kind of forgot. But basically, you know what I'm saying? You're faking the funk, right?
whether it's your university, you've seen it at these, some coffee shops. It's a lot of times people are pursuing entrepreneurship just to sort of tell you that they're an entrepreneur, kind of idea, like the whole thing of like,
Fakes.
I'm a CEO. Well, when did your company start? Well, yesterday. And you're like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. And part of your paper argues, you're trying to, if I understand it right, you're trying to explain a set of sort of problems or ideas in the field, one of which is that, okay, we see that entrepreneurship leads to all sorts of good things in the economy, but largely this is driven by a few companies. And then you also see that, oh, well, actually, there's the sort of the failing entrepreneurs or people who kind of have undersized results. And there's people like Amazon, Apple, all these companies that are driving the majority of the US economy. You're saying that it's actually becoming more prevalent and you're getting more and more sort of failing entrepreneurs entering the ecosystem as proportional to their like successful counterparts. And you're wondering why, and you're sort of saying there's this industry around entrepreneurs. Is that basically the idea?
Yes. And that's causing
everybody a boss, right?
A particular kind of entrepreneurial firm to pop up. And the kind of firm that is causing to pop up is what we call Weblinnian entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. So basically, it's not our observation that the quality of entrepreneurship is falling. That's from other work, which is referenced in the paper, but basically finding that like people tend to think that the US is incredibly entrepreneurial, and that's actually not the case by international standards.
Wow.
Entrepreneurship is also becoming more rare in the US. There are fewer and fewer entrepreneurial companies.
Fewer and fewer entrepreneurs, y'all, in America, right? You would be led to think that this is a land of the opportunity and whatever, which it is, praise God. But he's basically saying that the statistics prove that there's less and less real entrepreneurs, right? People that really start a business, that really, and then to be honest, people that are even successful. Eye opener right here, y'all.
In the sense that there are fewer startups, and the quality of those startups is declining. Right?
All bad things.
All bad things.
Wow.
As you say, it's true that there are like entrepreneurial companies play a potentially very big role in the economy, right? There's things that entrepreneurial companies do that established companies don't do. So economic dynamism is very much dependent on having well-functioning entrepreneurship, right? But that seems to be becoming more rare. And there are all sorts of explanations that you could have for that. You might say that, for instance, incumbent market power is increasing, right? So Google, Facebook, and Amazon are basically buying up and closing down all the really potentially promising entrepreneurial companies before they become big, right? That's one vision of it. The other is that there's just fewer good ideas to go around, right? That the good ideas are getting harder to find. And you could also say that entrepreneurship education maybe is getting worse, right? So entrepreneurs are more poorly prepared for entrepreneurship. You might say something about venture capital not working very well. All of those arguments are valid, and social science is such that usually things are really complex and things interact. The thing that we're saying with that paper is that our understanding of the decline in entrepreneurial quality has not taken into account that there has been this really rapidly growing and by now quite large entrepreneurship industry, which are companies that target entrepreneurs as their consumers, right? And purportedly help entrepreneurs to identify and develop ideas into profitable business.
So basically he's saying that like there's a rise of these entrepreneur agencies or these figures that are to help entrepreneurs. It's kind of like YouTube, to be honest, y'all. There's a guy I followed, Tom Buck, and he makes YouTube videos about equipment for YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And him, Think Media, they make videos for YouTubers. And I always had a kind of a weird feeling when I started YouTube, y'all. Like I see a lot of people making videos for YouTubers. They say they show you how to, grow your channel, doing things the right way. Yeah, they do, give good informational, content and whatnot. But I always wondered, I think I asked Tom Buck, like, doesn't it feel like it's being oversaturated with, there's just more YouTube channels that are just catering to YouTubers. They're making really less content as far as being original or making content that you consume that's not aimed for the YouTube content creator. I don't know if you catch my drift. Basically, like there's like a lot more people making videos showing you how to make YouTube videos, the cameras, the equipment, everything you need to be a successful YouTuber, yet their channels are just that. it just seemed to me like there was just a lot of people pushing content, showing you how to be on YouTube and how to be successful on YouTube. Like they're catering to the YouTubers. But I was like, man, I really don't see that many YouTube channels or content creators, in my opinion, they were, you know what I'm saying, successful or I don't know. I don't know if I'm really saying it the correct way, but I think it kind of correlates to what he's saying here. There's a bunch of so-called entrepreneurs that give services to entrepreneurs, right? Is it just fluff? Let's go.
Let's maybe expand on the types of like sort of entrepreneur help that one might see in this industry, right?
Yes. So there are different things, right? You mentioned that people have seen this at their universities, right? Many universities now have sort of these entrepreneurship hubs, right? That could be classed as a kind of entrepreneurship industry. This is something which is marketing to entrepreneurs to try to help them. There's a lot of academic writing on this. Books by academics, books by practitioners, like experienced entrepreneurs who then give advice. There's a lot of sort of, you would call it back office support for entrepreneurs, right? We'll do your accounting, we'll do your legal, we'll do your admin. There are lots of entrepreneurship conferences, expos. There's lots of online media.
Like Shark Tank, stuff like that. Like
Shark Tank on television. And then there's also like the Dutch type of business magazine, right? Wired, Fast Company, things like that. And basically a heap of books that you can get off of Amazon or anywhere else. They'll tell you about how to become a successful entrepreneur.
Sure.
Right? So there's a whole sort of suite of this that all sort of pretends to help entrepreneurs, right? Plus,
yeah, it pretends to help you, like it's saying it's going to help you, but it never really gives you the plan on how to make money. It just kind of just leads you on. It sells you a dream, sells you a service, but it never really gives you, you know what I'm saying, that viable info to be a successful entrepreneur. Like I said earlier about the gentleman that I told about getting a CDL and a hazmat, which endorsements to get, that's actual info, right, that impacted his life. It wasn't like selling him a dream or telling him follow me or buy this course, you know what I'm saying, get the right mindset. No, I basically gave him real world advice that he was able to use and was able to secure the bag. Let's be honest. Let's go.
Of course, there are college courses, incubators, accelerators, things associated with venture capital as well. All sorts of things that are sort of trying to do this, promoting entrepreneurs, helping them identify opportunities, and turning opportunities into valuable businesses. Right?
And this is why I wanted to talk to you, because I read this paper and I said, oh my gosh, this intersects with a lot of what I talk about. I mean, obviously, sometimes I'm talking about outright scams, but a lot of times I'm talking about people who are sort of proposing that, oh, if you're wanting to go into Facebook ads or, you know, making a little Amazon store or, starting an idea, come to us. We're going to help you if you just pay some nominal fee. And they make their living by basically taking these fees. So they're basically piggybacking on the entrepreneurship industry and saying, like, we are helping you guys become better, which is a fascinating and take. And there could be a role for that if they are indeed making entrepreneurs better. But it seems like there's this, we actually see entrepreneurship quality, as you say, declining. And so
go
ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's like in a gold rush, right? It's always good to sell shovels, and you need somebody to sell shovels.
Yeah,
right?
you do.
For sure. Otherwise, there will be no dating. The thing about the entrepreneurship industry, I mean, we don't know a whole lot about this from research, but what we do know suggests that what entrepreneurship industry actors mainly do is to increase confidence. They increase people's confidence in their ability to become entrepreneurs. So they enter, right? We can see that if you consume more goods from the entrepreneurship industry, you tend to become an entrepreneur at higher rates.
Right.
But the performance of those ventures that consume the most goods from the entrepreneurship industry tends to be lower.
Wow. That is really interesting. So you're getting people who sort of, you're encouraging people to join, and that's successful. They're successful at that, but it's maybe not so successful, or it's demonstrably not as successful at getting them to succeed. And in fact, maybe it's encouraging people to go into the entrepreneurship industry who maybe should not be going into it.
That's like my wife said earlier. She said, I was telling her about this. He's like, yeah, I could have told you all this. You know, she's always right. But she said, you know who's not an entrepreneur? My wife told me. She said, me, her talking to herself, right? She's happy being a stay-at-home mother. She's happy not, trying to be an entrepreneur. And to be honest, I got to say that to a lot of people. The hard pill to swallow here is that not everybody's made to be a boss. Not everybody's made, can handle being an entrepreneur, a real one that actually is successful. Even if you're a failure or whatever, right? Not everybody's can handle it. I got stories, of a buddy that killed himself. He couldn't handle, having a trucking company, and I don't want to speak much more on that, but killed himself, stressed out, throwing up, stomach hurting. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. That's why this video really, hit home with me, because we got to keep it real, y'all. Not everybody can be a boss, can be an entrepreneur, can have a company. And you got people, y'all, that take advantage of people, and they play on their emotions and their idea and their drive to be rich and to make money, but they're being sold a dream. They're not really given any kind of helpful info. It's these big old gurus. I would even say, and my wife said, isn't Andrew Tate one of those guys? I said, yeah, I think Andrew Tate was selling some of these, courses. Andrew Tate, they even said, I forgot his name, but there's a couple of them. I even seen them, I even seen them lump in the Wolf on Wall Street into some of these kind of schemes. These guys have these courses and these plans for you to buy them. There's another guy, Dan Locke or something like that. This CoffeeZilla exposes him a lot about how they go to these conferences and pull your credit card out. Do you want to be more rich? Do you want to make money? And the people, of course, they run down there and they upgrade their package and they get a bigger package, and they don't even really learn nothing. It's just like a motivational speech, and it's nothing that's tangible that they can actually use in the real world and really be successful. They're getting swindled.
At least, or maybe the way to say it is that it's building up confidence more than it's building up competence.
That's a great way to say it.
That might be a way to say it.
Right. And one thing you talk about is like
confidence over competence.
Also, entrepreneurs, part of this new thing is it's not entrepreneurship necessarily as, a job as much as it is an identity. And the way you get that identity is by buying stuff instead of doing like it used to. Maybe you would think that you'd become an.
You're not producing. It's an identity. It's not a job. It's not tangible. It's just, it's fake. It's a farce. There's nothing. There's the wheels ain't hitting the pavement. It's wild, y'all.
Entrepreneurship by doing, but actually, there's some people are trying to become entrepreneurs almost by buying.
I think that's the right. So there are a couple of things going on. I think the fact that we have this celebration of entrepreneurs, right? I mean, I think that's uncontroversial. That entrepreneurship is one of the most celebrated things you can probably do, right? Yeah. And entrepreneurs are some of the most celebrated actors in the economy. Mm-hmm. That makes it possible to benefit from entrepreneurship simply by being an entrepreneur. Like having a company sort of gets you into good company, so to speak. Yeah. So that it's infinitely better to tell your parents that you are working on your startup than it is to work as a barista, which might actually pay you more because the entrepreneurship thing could actually pay you nothing, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is that because there is an entrepreneurship industry that provides goods and services, it becomes possible to consume those goods and services to do things that are similar to what you might call real entrepreneurs. Right? I say that in scare quotes.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. You can consume your way into an entrepreneurial identity because we have somehow separated the being an entrepreneur from the success of the endeavor. Right? And that makes a lot of sense, actually. Like that's not unreasonable because success in entrepreneurship is just incredibly unlikely. Yeah. It is rare, right? That is one thing that we know for like a real fact in social science. It's really rare. And so to say that you can only be an entrepreneur if you're successful would make no sense. Because then there'd be a huge category of people who would basically like lack a category. So that makes some sense, but that at the same time becomes an excuse for something which is more insidious. And that is that you can basically be in this consumption practice and that can make you an entrepreneur.
And that is useless to the economy. I mean, there's nothing useful going on there other than you're just spending money on
buying courses
that aren't necessarily making you do anything, right? Because you're just it's just a consumption at that point of just
the short answer is that it's totally unproductive, right? I mean, the term Veblen
unproductive.
Some people might have had econ classes where they've heard about Veblen goods, which is basically the technical jargon for luxury goods. Things that get more desirable the more expensive they get. So oysters, champagne, cars, racehorses, stuff like that, right? Yeah. So there's a way in which, because people don't use it right? Nobody really likes oysters, right? But people like the social signaling that eating expensive oysters can give them. So the fact that this thing is expensive is part of the value, right? The functional value is unimportant. And that's some of the idea. It's a social signaling that is valuable to people. It's not the value that the company produces.
And that's so interesting because a lot of what I see, there are valuations for certain courses, masterminds, these coaching calls, that their cost seems to have nothing to do with any kind of objective metric. It's like, oh, how much is your mastermind? I believe them just as much if they said 2,500 as 2,500,000. Sorry, not 2,500, 250,000. Because of the fact, and I've heard both, by the way, from different people. I was on a Clubhouse room last night where this hypnotist was telling us that he charges $300,000 for coaching. And it's just ridiculous. You're just thinking, well, who would buy this? But what you're saying is that there's a whole type of person who, like, they sort of see, oh, the more it costs, the more I can signal that I'm the type of person who can afford these kind of things. Therefore, I must sort of be a big deal in a way that you'd buy a super expensive Rolex, even if you don't really like watches, because it's more about signaling that you sort of have the thing.
Wow.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, that's where the value comes from, right? And what we're saying is that there are people who become entrepreneurs who might have a sense that they are not going to be, who have a sense that they might not be particularly likely to create enormous value, but who will still benefit from being just in the category. I mean, most people know that one does not just start a biotech company, right? But one can be an entrepreneur. You just need basically a pitch deck.
And you can kind of say that you're starting a biotech company, right? We saw that with Theranos.
Yes.
We saw somebody just start a biotech company, and we saw, the hype bubble form around it, where people just go, oh, well, this must be the next big thing because they're excited. Meanwhile, all the scientists are saying there's no way.
And with that, y'all, I'm going to probably go to the very end, see if we can get here. I mean, it's a long video. I really recommend this channel. Let's see if we can get something out before we end the video. It's already going late. But
and it's not a widely accepted view, right? I mean, there's quite a lot of consensus that entrepreneurial quality is declining. It's not a unanimously held view, but it's pretty close. So that is sort of a real thing. The idea that the linking of the entrepreneurship ideology to the entrepreneurship industry to declining entrepreneurial quality is sort of that's our
theoretical,
idea.
right?
That's our idea, and it's conjecture, I think. We'd say, right?
Yeah.
So just
Absolutely.
to be clear.
No. I appreciate it. I appreciate how careful you are, and I think that's an important part of any kind of if you're going to be in academia, that's part of your job, right? Is to tell people like what's settled, what's not, and I appreciate you doing that, Dr. Hartman. Thank you so much for.
guys, I guess what the reason why this hit home for me and why I wanted to, do a reaction to this video again, check out the CoffeeZilla. There's a lot more content on here. I really like this guy's page. I'm glad it came across my feed because I see these guys on here and they're like, in mansions and they're, doing these presentations, get rich and quit your day job, work one day off your laptop. And like, it's wild. And it really hits me different because I got to just say, ask my wife. It ain't a joke. I mean, I've been out there with my truck, at night, trying to get it fixed for the next day, stressed out, rebuilding the motor, being out of work for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? It's stressful. And the whole, gist of this video is basically the entrepreneurs, right? They're selling you products and services that are just boosting your confidence, but there's no competence. There's no substance. It's just an image, a facade. They're selling you a dream. From multi-level marketing to, to these courses they sell, y'all. This guy said something in the video, we didn't catch it here, but basically saying that when someone tries to sell you something like this, you need to, instead of, thinking about the business situation and saying, let me try it, see if it works, you need to first doubt it and start tearing it apart and being opposite and be like, man, I don't think this can work, right? Instead of trying to say, let me see if this does work and risking it. And he also said that, which didn't catch us either, that, when people sit there and say they take no for an answer, sometimes you need to take no for an answer because maybe that's giving you, some constructive criticism that you're doing something wrong. If someone doesn't want to invest in your vision or you're getting no a lot, maybe you need to use that feedback to step back and figure out what's going wrong or what's not right with your plan. Sometimes no is the answer for a lot of people. We got to be honest with ourselves. Back to what I'm saying, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's made to be one. Like he said, these certain individuals and people that take advantage of people, and sell them the confidence, but don't really sell them any tools or give them really anything besides just, like he said, the confidence in the big head and the dream and go for it. But you're out there spending so many thousands on a course or whatever, and then it don't apply to nothing in the real world. I got involved in a multi-level marketing, scheme a long time ago. And man, it was horrible. I'm glad I got out of that, but you're just in a little circle with your people and you start becoming like a little cult, you know what I'm saying? Trying to sell to your friends and family and they don't even want to hear from you with that crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, be careful with this stuff, y'all. It will consume you. I'm glad I kind of got out of that stuff, and you know what I'm saying. And I was a Christian. I felt convicted. I was like, man, this is just too much. And then dealing with the multi-level marketing team, they would have a whole nother outlook on life and Christianity or religion, whatever. Like they were like not people that I should have been hanging around with. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So this right here can go with the fake gurus that you see everywhere, y'all. I mean, they're even saying Napoleon Hill was a fraud. He has a video on that, y'all. He was probably one of the first fake gurus back in the day. He has newspaper clippings and proof that Napoleon Hill was basically just selling a program like the rest of these guys. So I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. This is a very interesting channel, CoffeeZilla. He's always exposing a lot of people, a lot of scams, a lot of internet fake gurus, entrepreneurs, you know what I'm saying, stuff of that sort. So I hope you liked the video. Sorry it went longer than it should have. Sorry I didn't react to the whole video, but you get you get the idea here, y'all. They're exposing this dilemma in America, giving people confidence to become entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneur, quality, the quality of the entrepreneur in 2023 is just declining. To be honest, not everybody's going to make it in business. It's tough. So that's why I wanted to make this reaction video, because I can relate. As a business owner, entrepreneur, I'm going to tell you something. To be completely honest, I'm not trying to crush nobody's dreams, but maybe somebody's dreams need to be crushed. If you got it made at your job, maybe you should stay there. If you want more, go for it. But I'm going to tell you something. There ain't nothing wrong with just kicking back and having a secure bag. Nothing's really secure in life, but I'm telling you right now, sometimes you don't want these problems. It's tough being a business owner in America in 2023. I'm telling you right now. And that's another thing they touched on, y'all. That basically, you got to learn when to just, hold back. And not everybody's made for this. There's some great points in this video, y'all. And like I said, I just want to make a quick reaction video to it and just, be honest. I don't want to, crush nobody's dreams, but, what I'm saying, it's a rough, world for a real entrepreneur, not one that just has the image, right? So with that, y'all, thank you for watching. God bless you. And remember, you're an American, you're a patriot, you got grit. Act like it. I'm out.